setting up empty chairs, a table with empty plates, getting together to brace each other. This is how the families and supporters of the families of the more than 200 hostages in Hamas captivity since the October 7th attack and the families of the 7,200 Palestinians languishing in Israeli prisons are coping with their emotions after a 4-day truce deal was announced between Hamas and Israel on November 22nd, which has now been delayed till November 24th from taking effect. The deal will facilitate the release of 50 Hamas hostages and 150 Palestinian prisoners, mostly women and children.
אפשר להציל חיים, בעסקה בוודאות מצילה חיים. חיים של ילדים שנחטפו, חיים של אזרחים, נשים, קשישים, וכל מה שאפשר, כפעימה ראשונה, בתקווה שאחר כך יהיה אפשר, לשחרר כמובן את כולם. אז חשוב לעשות את זה בלי שום דיחוי, בלי לחשוב חישובים על גבם של המשפחות ועל גבם של החטופים, כי אפשר להציל חיים עכשיו, וזה צריך לעשות באופן דחוף ובלתי מתפשר, כמה שאתה אומר.
Eyal Nori flips through pictures of his aunt and uncle as these images are the only things to tie him to his loved ones. Nori's uncle, said Moshe, was murdered by Hamas, who stormed their village in southern Israel on October 7th. Nori's aunt, Adina Moshe, was taken captive into Gaza. Nori believes Adina is unlikely to be part of the first wave of hostages set to be released.
It's like a roller coaster, where you see the deal is coming, you hope she's there. If she'll not be there, I believe we will fall apart, and then we need to, again, pull ourselves together, keep on with the activities that we are doing in order to make sure that she will be released in the next deal.
The Awad family, based in the West Bank, couldn't believe their luck when they discovered that 2 of their relatives were to be released from prison. Samahar Awad, whose son Norhan Awad is to be released, is overjoyed.
يعني إلهم أسبوع بيحكوا إن في صفقة أنا شوية يعني مستبعد يعني إنها نورهان تطلع بهاي الصفقة إنها يعني قدس وإنهم متهمينها محاولة طعن بس يعني اليوم بس الصبح الساعة 5 الصبح يعني من كثر ما أجاني يعني اتصالات ويحكوا لي الاسم يعني هسه أنا متفائلة ومش عارف يعني شعور لا يوصف يعني.
Like Samahar, Raida Awad, who is the mother of Palestinian prisoner Ahmed Awad, was surprised to learn that her son will be released as part of this prisoner exchange deal.
والحمد لله رب العالمين يعني تفاجأت إنه طلع بتبادل الأسر الحمد لله في الصفقة. جانا الخبر اليوم الحمد لله الساعة 8:30 إنه أحمد في قائمة الصفقة هذه تبادل الأسرة. والحمد لله كانت فرحة كبيرة وبتمنى الفرحة لكل أميات الأسرى.
The agreement between Israel and Hamas to pause the fighting in Gaza and release dozens of captives highlights the power of diplomacy and the limitations of military action, say observers. Both Israel and its staunch ally United States had resisted global calls for a ceasefire and later, amid immense pressure, settled on a temporary pause to the fighting in Gaza. Mustafa Barghouti, a Palestinian activist, sees the Qatar-mediated truce deal as a means of ending the war eventually.
We're happy that many prisoners will be able to come back home safe, but this deal broke 2 of the Israeli taboos. First of all, they were against any form of ceasefire. They were talking only about humanitarian pauses. This is a real ceasefire. The second thing, the second taboo, they were against exchange of prisoners. And now they were obliged to accept an exchange of prisoners through an agreement they had to make with Hamas. The most important thing now is that this war would stop, that the atrocities would stop.
Amid optimism that a truce deal could pave way for a permanent ceasefire, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has clarified that the agreement does not mean an end to the war in Gaza.
יש בחוץ דיבורי הבל, כאילו אחרי ההפוגה להשבת חטופינו, אנחנו נפסיק את המלחמה. אז אני מבקש להבהיר, אנחנו במלחמה, ונמשיך במלחמה. נמשיך במלחמה עד שנשיג את כל היעדים שלנו. לחסל את החמאס, להשיב את כל חטופינו ונעדרינו, ולהבטיח שבעזה לא יהיה שום גורם שמאיים על ישראל.
Israeli air attacks have killed more than 14,000 Palestinians, mostly civilians including children, amid a blockade on entry of fuel and other medical essentials into the besieged enclave. On the Israeli side, some 1,200 people have been killed by Hamas during the October 7th attack. Israel's approval of the Gaza deal comes after facing weeks of pressure from the Israeli public, most notably the families of captives held in the bombarded enclave. And observers stress that there has to be continued pressure on the Israeli administration and the US to pursue a long-term ceasefire. Meanwhile, as Israel and Hamas continue to work out the implementation of the deal, families of captives and prisoners will be waiting with bated breath till their loved ones make it back home.